and welcome. I'm Michelle Marchant Johnson with Love Life Coaching, and I'm joined today by Dr. Joe Rubino, who is the CEO of Center for Personal Reinvention.com. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you, Michelle. Great to be with you.
So happy to have you here, and I just would like to ask you a couple of questions today, just for people to get a little flavor of you and your work. So can you tell me, Joe, what is one thing that you commonly see that holds people back from having the love or relationships that they truly desire?
Well, clarity on the main thing is clarity on who they are and who they want to attract. So let me explain that briefly. Most of us hold ourselves as somehow defective, unlovable, not good enough, flawed in some significant manner. More than 85% of the world's population, my research shows, has diminished self-esteem in one or more areas of life. So when you hold yourself as that diminished in some way, you set yourself up for self-sabotage, and you sabotage your future relationships. So you also tend to put on an act. You tend to not be proud of the person that you are, and you tend to demand that the person that you attract be more perfect than you are, that having qualities that you aspire to. And so that's kind of a setup for being disappointed, a setup for not having someone that's perfect show up. And then again, the relationship becomes sabotaged. So what's possible here is for you to feel good about who you are, get clarity about your strengths, to put into place the missing elements that will turn your weaknesses into positive attributes that will empower you to feel good about yourself, and to get clarity around who you're going to attract, and that you're worthy of attracting someone who is consistent with the qualities that you hold dear, the love that you are as a person, the benefits that you'll bring to a relationship, the attributes that someone would be so lucky to have in you if they were to have you as their partner. So those are the qualities. And when you hold yourself in that kind of high esteem, and your energy is conducive to attracting someone consistent with those qualities, your relationships not only stands a great chance of being a positive, empowering one, but you'll also feel great about developing it as you go along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was so well said. So I think you may have kind of already answered my second question a little bit, but let's just see if anything else comes forward. What is one thing that people can begin to do right now that can begin to shift things for them so that they can move toward having that relationship and that love that they desire?
Well, one of the most powerful things that you can do is to, moment by moment, manage your moods and manage your interpretations. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. We all are wired to have one of three predominant moods, usually, maybe four: anger, sadness, fear, or anxiety. And what happens is when someone speaks, when someone does something, we typically react to whatever it is that based on our predominant mood. So if our predominant mood is anger and someone says something that offends us, which is common for people that listen to be offended or listen from anger, then we'll respond in anger. Anger has us be forceful. It has us dominate other people and avoid being dominated. It has us feel powerful in the moment, but it has a lot of negative side effects too. It destroys relationships. It communicates an energy that isn't attractive to others, and it isn't conducive to attracting the kind of person that we want to be happy with. The second type of typical emotion is sadness. Something like 350 million people are addicted to sadness and don't know it. It's not that these people want to be sad. It's just that they create interpretations in their lives that make them sad. And so if you're addicted to sadness, you can now start to look for the good in everything. You can start to look with gratitude toward what people say and do and who they are for you. So you can now start to shift out of that and know that everything that happens in your life is good and that you're not a victim. You don't have to sit on your pity pot. You don't have to have people feel sorry for you because you have so much going for you, so much to contribute in your life. The third predominant emotion is fear. 26% of women, 16% of men are addicted to fear. They listen to be afraid. So relationships scare them. Men scare them if you're a woman. Being not having enough, being out of a job, being hurt, being abused. There's so many things that are possible things to be afraid of. And so when you are aware of these emotional addictions, you won't react in such a way that you create interpretations that make you angry, sad, afraid, or anxious. But you will instead stop yourself. You'll give up your right to be offended. You'll give up your right to be sad. You'll give up your right to be afraid. You'll give up your right to be anxious in the moment. And you'll say, what is another interpretation that I can create that has none of these negative emotions attached to it that I can now associate with what was just said or done so that it empowers me to move forward? And then you're going to be able to take some action that empowers you based upon what your greatest fear is. So that if someone asks you out on a date and your fear is, well, I just won't know what to say. I won't feel like I'm good enough to be with this person. You're going to stop. You're going to recognize the emotion of fear. You're going to release the fear. You're going to count backward from 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1. You're going to ask yourself, are you willing to give up your right to be invalidated, to be afraid? And the answer, if you decide is yes, then you're going to ask yourself, what is a new interpretation that I can take that will empower me to move forward? And maybe the interpretation in that moment that you're asked out for the date is, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to be authentic, to share my love and to share my authentic communication with this person, and to develop who I am and who I want the world to know me for. So that's just one example of managing your interpretations moment by moment and managing your emotions so that they work for you instead of against you.
Yeah, I just love what you said there, Joe. I think this is so incredibly powerful. And this is a really simple example and almost a little bit humorous. But I can remember when I was coaching a client a few years back. She lives in London, and wonderful woman, lovely, beautiful woman. And she had a lot of fear about dating, and she had met this guy through our work. Things were going really well. And she showed up in one of our coaching sessions. And the first thing she said was, what if this all turns out really badly and it's just a disaster? That was the first thing she said to me. And I just said, what if things turn out better than you could have ever imagined and he ends up being the man of your dreams? Well, guess what? That's exactly what happened. And this sounds like a really simple thing to say that, but she was able to shift into that just in that brief moment. And that allowed her to continue to move through that fear so that she didn't bail out because she was so scared. She was thinking about bailing out, and get to know this man better and eventually develop this wonderful relationship. They ended up getting married. They're happily married today. And so what you're talking about is just so incredibly powerful.
Yeah, you can imagine if she went into that relationship based on that expectation of it being a disaster, she'd find a way to sabotage it.
Exactly.
And she'd get to be right about it, and she'd get to be right about how she held men, and she'd get to be a victim, and she'd feel sorry for herself and, evoke the pity of other people when she told her story about what a jerk the guy was and all the rest. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, just like the other self-fulfilling prophecy of expecting him to be a wonderful guy and the man of her dreams.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you so much, Joe, for sharing today. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.